Alec Lasley is here with us from thehoosier.com. Alec, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I cannot complain. Nobody wants to listen to it, and it would be pointless anyway. It's a great day. It's a great day. It's the weekend is here. Recruiting's in full swing, although it's kind of slowing down finally a little bit. It seemed like, man, the offers flying out the door. I know that in talking to someone close to the program that Indiana's strategy is to go after two guys per each position. Basically, who wants this more? And then you've got the unknown with the portal next year and all that stuff. So they've got a CYA. But what's next? What's the next domino to fall offer wise? Do you expect? There's a lot of offers that have already been extended.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is now the reason for that is because coaches were finally able to get out and see some of these recruits live in person for the June evaluation period, guys that they hadn't been able to see for 16 months. So that was a big reason for a lot of these offers. Obviously, a lot of kids on campus too. Now there's a little bit of a lull in terms of visits, but you still have the July live period that just started yesterday. That goes for the next few weeks. So you're probably going to get a lot more offers coming out, a lot more names that are going to pop up. Obviously, visits won't be able to happen. That'll resume back in August, but you're still going to hear a lot more names that you probably either haven't heard of or haven't really been talked about too much, just because there was only so much the coaches could do in the only 2 weeks that they had for the live period in June. And a lot of that was more circulated around a lot of those key guys that they needed to see in the 2022 class. So you're probably going to hear a lot more 23 names pop up in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks.
What are some of those names to expect to hear that people may not be familiar with?
Yeah, one is London Johnson. He's talked a little bit about him a few weeks ago in our Friday recruiting notebook that we put out every week on the site. But he's a guy down in Georgia. He's playing not at the Adidas event in Birmingham this week, but he's down in the Atlanta event as well. But he's kind of a 6'3" combo guard, can do a lot with the ball. Really good scorer, really good athlete. He's one guy who Yuzir Rosemond has watched a few times. Kenya Hunter's also seen as well. This one sounds like it's going to be a little bit more of a Kenya Hunter recruitment. I think he's down in Atlanta right now watching him. I think you saw him yesterday for one of his games. He's down there to watch a ton of other IU prospects as well. But he's one name to keep an eye on in that 23 class as kind of a guy who can play a few different positions, good length, good athleticism, really good overall just athlete in general that IU's trying to go after in that backcourt. So he's one name that I would keep an eye on. Gabe Cupps, who just received an offer from the 2023 class. He went out and had 27 points last night in front of part of the IU coaching staff as well. So the IU coaching staff is really putting a huge priority on the 2023 class moving forward. Probably, I think it's been 6 out of the last 7 offers that have been extended have been in the 23 class. And they're really trying to get ahead of the game due to the fact that they were a little bit behind joining late for a lot of these 2022 prospects. So they're sitting in a good spot with a lot of 2023 guys. And I think they're going to put a lot of focus on some of those top guys. But a guy like London Johnson is definitely someone to kind of keep an eye out for moving into later this month.
One thing that seems apparent, Mike Woodson is planning on building his program. I mean, he's not waiting. You see, I see some teams, I think the Kentuckys are going to try to remain being Kentucky via the transfer portal. They're going to try to rebuild their team each year via the transfer portal, which is nice. Mike Woodson looks to be building his own program. Recruiting guys. That's a lot of recruits, more so than it seems like most other schools. So I think that would be a good sign for recruits to tell you they're looking to develop talent here. So there's that. And the talent level is awesome to see what they're going after. I look at Purdue, And not that they don't have talent. They've got a roster full of Indiana kids, which is nice. And I've always said you could almost just win a national championship, or you could compete nationally each year with Indiana kids. But that's not quite true, because you don't every year have that one guy in this position and where you have to go get him someplace else, which is what Indiana is building their roster around, which in the future it will have more Indiana kids. They just got here this staff just got here a little too late for this group. But I think in the future, you're going to see more of a mix of Indiana kids with these elite players. But a Purdue that does not have these elite players, this is where I see them just never going to be able to compete nationally at a high level. And I'm not trying to pick on Purdue, but I just don't think you can have every kid from the state of Indiana, as good as it is, and think you're going to go out and beat the elites.
Yeah, I think that may be true if you try to compete at a top level every single year. But if you stretch that out,
why would you not?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think obviously teams are going to have down years. Programs are going to have down years. Obviously, we saw that with Duke, North Carolina a few years ago, and then Kentucky.
Well, I think that had something to do with Nike cutting off the gravy train.
Whichever way you look at it, there's still going to be down years in programs, no matter when they're playing and who's on their roster. That's just how college basketball works. And when you look at Purdue, I think they're going to be built for every 2-3 years if they continue to do a lot of the in-state poll, where they're going to not only compete for a Big Ten championship, but the roster that they have right now, I think is vastly underrated. And I think you look at what Jaden Ivey's doing, playing for Team USA right now in the World Championships. He is, if not the best player on that roster, he is one of the top 2 or 3. And I don't think a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, obviously you still have a lot of skill and a lot of younger guys who are going to be freshmen this year, so they haven't had a lot of time not only playing internationally but playing in the college game. He looks just entirely different with his confidence playing for Team USA, and I think that's going to be a huge boost for him going into Purdue. Zach Edey's playing terrific as well for Canada. I think you have a very, very, very good roster for Purdue to compete this year. But then, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens not only with Caleb Furst, Trey Kaufman, some of these other guys. They're already loading up for the class of 2023 as well. Some of these guys, we'll see how they develop. We'll see how they fit in, and we'll also see how long they stick there, because Purdue already has tons of guys committed for the next 2 years. And we all know now with the one-time transfer rule, you're going to see guys move in and out of programs very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these guys are really true to their in-state roots and want to stick to Purdue especially, or if they want to go elsewhere. But yeah, at least for this year, Purdue's going to be absolutely loaded and going to be one of the top teams around the country.